Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new Searching for Players podcast, the podcast that loves everything geek, especially video games, but also movies, TV shows. And if this is your first time watching, welcome. I am David, aka Player 1, and joining me is our resident non-gamer, Player 4, aka Dallas. Players 2 and 3 were not able to join us. Player 2 was doing something with cosplay, and Player 3, well, I think he's lost somewhere in Hyrule, which is the land of Zelda.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
See, that's why our resident non-gamer is here, so that all the non-gamers watching can understand what we're talking
There's
about.
so many of us.
Watching? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We're super popular in the non-gamer
In the
demographic.
non-gamer, world.
So the first thing I want to talk about this week, it's kind of weird because the podcast airs on Monday. We normally shoot it on Sunday, so this is sort of a weird slate, day off. Gamescom is happening this week, and officially it runs from the 22nd through the 26th of August, which is this week. But which Gamescom is sort of like the European equivalent of E3, just not quite as big.
Okay.
Usually there's not quite as many big announcements. E3 is like, this is the big, reveals. Sony doesn't really show up to Gamescom as much anymore. Microsoft has made a big push in there because Xbox has become a lot more popular in Europe, so they have a big presence. EA is big there, and then a lot of smaller companies will show up and make sort of their announcements that would have gotten overshadowed at E3.
Okay.
But, like I said, it doesn't start till Tuesday officially, but Microsoft had I don't know if you really call it a press conference, but they had a little show on Sunday, which is the day we're filming this, and literally I just finished watching it before we did this. Mm-hmm. And then EA will have a press conference on Monday, which for us is tomorrow, but that will be the same day the podcast will debut, but we haven't seen it yet. So basically, next week, we're going to talk about Gamescom information in full. But we've seen the Microsoft press conference, and I just want to talk about it real briefly. One, there wasn't a whole lot of new information. There's a lot of reinforcing, I guess, stuff they talked about at E3. Of course, the new Xbox One X is coming out. And I guess probably the biggest thing was at the end of the press conference, they said you can go pre-order it now, which you couldn't pre-order it before. And I jumped on Amazon before we shot this, and yes, it's there. You can pre-order it, $500. And lock it down for its, I think, is it October release or November release? I forget when it's coming out.
So have you pre-ordered?
Nope.
What?
Nope, I'm not.
Mr. Xbox?
I know. I just, they haven't shown me why I need to spend $500 more to get this more powerful system. And I cannot justify it. The only game that, in my opinion, that was coming out this fall that will absolutely take advantage of it is Forza, which is a driving game, and I'm not a big racing game guy. Also, I don't have a 4K TV. That's the other big reason to get these systems now is to get things in 4K. Mm-hmm. Not going to be able to get advantage of that. And it's just $500 to me, just not worth it.
So you're not going to pull the Alex move and pre-order it just in case, like, something
just
else...
in case.
Something
Then he
else,
always
like,
buys it anyway.
It comes down the line of, like, this game is coming out.
Yeah. No, I can't, no.
Okay.
So...
All right.
And they did announce that it's the one that you can pre-order right now is the limited Scorpio edition because it was originally called Scorpio. Mm-hmm. So like the controller in green says Project Scorpio on it, and it has like some like limited number of these are being made kind of thing. The later Xbox One X's will just be standard. So
I think I like the name Scorpio better
than Xbox One X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of X's.
I think maybe a lot of people felt that way, so that's why they decided to do a Scorpio edition, just sort of a nod to that. But. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Other than that, they didn't really announce a whole lot. There was a Jurassic World game that they kind of debuted. You saw the trailer.
Yeah.
It's basically like a strategy sim, manage your park kind of game, which those can be addicting. I used to really get into the roller coaster theme park sim games. We've talked about that before. I don't know. It could be fun. I'm sure you have to deal with rampaging dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be out summer of next year. I did see, though, it's not an Xbox exclusive. It will be on PS4. It will be on the PC. But that was, in some ways, the biggest announcement that they had at this little thing. And it wasn't a full like conference where the other ones, it's like on a stage with a huge crowd.
Yeah.
This was much more like an in-house, somewhere on the show floor. You had a couple Xbox people and you had different developers coming in. It was all on couches, very, sort of chill and just casual. They did talk about, there was a game that came out last year called Recore. Very mediocre. A lot of people said it had a lot of good ideas, but then it got super repetitive. They announced the Recore Definitive Edition.
Okay.
Something nobody was asking for. I don't know. It's supposed to pack in all the DLC, a new little expansion, and it's supposed to improve. I don't know. I guess maybe it's running in a higher def for the new Xbox. I don't know. Not excited for that. I don't know who is. Like I said, this was a very mediocre game. They got, very mediocre. And I think it's being called the Definitive Edition. Usually when they repackage these games with like all the bonus DLC and stuff, they call them Game of the Year editions.
Okay.
And it's because it's like that game won Game of the Year from some publication, so they can call it that. Recore did not win Game of the Year from anybody, so instead they had to call it the Definitive Edition or whatever. But it's just a repackaging. It's just weird that this game came out last year and they're already like, here's this better version of it. I don't know. So I was not... I'm trying to think of the word. There was nothing exciting about that announcement.
You don't seem impressed at all.
No.
Yeah.
So, one kind of cool thing, they talked about Assassin's Creed. They have a sort of a
Origins?
advertising deal. Yes, Assassin's Creed Origins. And they have a deal with Ubisoft. Anyways, they premiered the new CG trailer for the game, and they didn't really show any new gameplay or anything like that. But it was all the CG, and Ubisoft has always done good CG. And we both watched the trailer on that one. What did you think of it?
It honestly, if it was a movie, I'd go see it. There was one part in the trailer where like he I guess it's the assassin. Yeah, is on the ground in the middle of the fight, and then he pulls up the bow with his foot and then fires it. It's like, oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Other than that, like I don't really know the story. What's going on? Maybe it's just because I don't know that much about Assassin's Creed. Other than the fact that he's an assassin trying to kill the Pharaoh.
Yeah, not sure what the character was that he was going after.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed's kind of done that where they have a CG trailer sort of highlighting him tracking down a target and trying to assassinate them in a very choreographed, cool-looking fight. And they hadn't done that in a little while. So it was fun to see that.
Yeah. The like slightly rap, almost poetry like to a beat. It was almost like beat poetry. It's kind of, I'm not gonna say weird, but it was an interesting little twist. But I thought it was cool how it kind of was like going to the beat, and it was a little bit ominous, and then the dude's voice was like a little bit deeper, a little bit more baritone, and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, Assassins likes to do that. They mix some of
on?
modern music over this sort of historical, ancient gameplay looking, time period.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be interested to learn more about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's a game I'm getting for sure. I think I've got it pre-ordered. But it's just, that's, again, no real announcements there, no new gameplay or anything, but it was just sort of a fun, hey, check out this cool CG trailer.
Yeah.
So, like I said, other than that, the whole thing was just sort of reinforcing a lot that they've talked about at E3, their partnerships with, what is it called? Player Unknown Battlegrounds, or PUBG as everybody calls it. Big game on the PC coming to Xbox. They revealed like the controllers. They revealed new systems that, again, it's the same Xbox, but it has like a Minecraft skin on it, so it looks pretty cool. Or they talked about how they have a program where you can design your own controllers with colors and all that stuff. Of course, Gamescom is in Germany. They talked about how it's coming to 30 new European countries. I guess that program wasn't accessible to them. Now they can also do that. Lots of little announcements like that that didn't blow me away, but it's interesting, I guess, stuff they just wanted to talk about. Like I said, the rest of Gamescom we'll talk about next week as more stuff's revealed. I think the EA has like a conference thing, like I said, on Monday. It'll probably be a similar format. It's not going to be a huge conference. It'll be like more casual. I know smaller companies like, I say smaller than this, but Blizzard is going to talk about some Overwatch stuff, reveal a new map, and reveal a new CG trailer, which I don't even... If you remember, we watched that one about Bastion, the robot, going through the woods, and he could turn into like a tank thing and stuff.
Yes.
So those sort of high-quality productions are always fun to watch. They're supposed to reveal a new one sometime this week.
Cool.
Injustice 2, another game I play, they're supposed to reveal new characters that are coming to the game sometime this week, during Gamescom. So there'll be a lot of sort of like little announcements, just no huge ones. But and no doubt EA will talk about FIFA because that's huge in Europe. So
yeah.
But so stay tuned next week for a lot more Gamescom coverage. Like I said, the Microsoft one was kind of some interesting things, but nothing major. So, all right. So this week I want to talk about some movie and TV rumors and announcements and stuff. Game of Thrones. You watch it.
Yes.
Alina, player 2, and Alex, player 3, also watch it.
Yes, they do.
I do not watch it.
No, you don't.
Eventually, one day. One day I will. I know, it's just one of those things. I need to get into it. But I guess Game of Thrones is ending after season 8.
Yeah.
That's the plan. There are 4 different Game of Thrones spin-offs in the works. They are all prequels.
Okay.
All 4 may not necessarily get made. I guess at this point they're still in the developmental stages. But they said they won't involve any characters from the main series currently. They will all take place before. None of them will come out until after season 8. So after Game of Thrones, the main story is done, they'll release these.
So who are the prequels about?
So they're not allowed to talk about it.
Okay.
They had an interview with one of the, directors, and she was talking a little bit, and she said they are... Anybody, especially if you've read the books, I guess, they will cover events that I guess were talked about in the books, things that happened before.
Yeah.
So
my guess is one of them is going to have to be about Rhaegar Targaryen. Mm-hmm. I can't say too much because you don't watch it, but it's going to have to be about the Targaryens a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Were they like the previous rulers or something? Sort of.
Yes. So there's the Mad... I haven't read the books. But, so there was the Mad King. Mm-hmm. And the Mad King was a Targaryen, which is Daenerys Targaryen's father. Mm-hmm. Mother of Dragons. Mm-hmm. He was assassinated.
Okay.
Because he was the Mad King. He was getting ready to kill the entire city. For what reason, I don't remember. I don't even know if that has been revealed. Or maybe he was just crazy. I don't know. But then the throne went back to the Lannisters. And then, of course, now everybody's trying to take the throne from the Lannisters. So, I know, hold on. It went to somebody else who married a Lannister, and then it's in the Lannister hands, and yada, yada, yada.
Okay.
But anyway, there's a lot of folklore, I guess, fake folklore, about the Targaryens and how they came to power, and how Daenerys became the mother of dragons, and then also they're probably going to have a spinoff about Children of Earth. Mm-hmm. I know, you're sitting there what is Dallas talking about? It's the origins of humanity in Game of Thrones.
Okay. And
then how the Children of Earth, which are kind of fairy-like.
Okay.
And how that splintered off into the Ice King.
Okay.
Yeah, Ice King, Dead King. And that army of ice frozen zombies. Those are 2. If they don't touch on those, I'd be really surprised.
Okay.
Really, really surprised. And then they're probably going to touch on how Jon Snow, how Jon Snow came about. Which they did in last season. At the end of last season, dropped a huge bomb, and you're like, what? You can miss it. It's so slight. If you're not paying attention, you're like, what? But who his parents are, in his lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's 3. The 4th one, I don't know. I'll probably talk to a couple people who read the books.
See what else is out there.
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting. I mean, it's not that surprising. Obviously, Game of Thrones is super popular for HBO. So for them to want to keep that gravy train running, because I've heard they want one of these to start almost immediately after the end of season 8. So.
I don't know if they can really keep the gravy train running, because it's going to end. The books, for all intents and purposes right now, have ended. I mean, I know there's still another book that George R. R. Martin
show is past the book.
Yeah. So, yeah. So it's like, okay, we're gonna delve deep into these characters' lives and maybe some stories that are in the books that haven't really been touched on in the show, but like, how far can we milk this? Like, I don't know how much water is left in the well.
It's like the way they stretched out, like Hunger Games, let's make the last one 2 movies. Twilight, let's make the last one 2 movies. Harry Potter, it's like they want to keep, they know it's popular, so it's like, let's keep it going.
Harry Potter needed to be 2 movies.
I guess.
You guess.
I mean, there was a lot of them just hanging out in the woods. But
I mean, that's the book.
I know. I was hoping the movie would shorten that part.
I guess I was happy that they made it into 2 movies. Although I was a little upset where I was like, I watched this movie and they were just hanging out in the woods. But it made sense by the time you got to the 8th and final movie. Yeah. Hunger Games, yeah, those are short books. That could have been 1 movie. Could have been 1 movie. But, yeah, they wanted to stretch that one out.
Turn The Hobbit into 3 movies.
I just... I don't like The Hobbit. I just don't like The Hobbit.
I mean, I enjoyed those movies. So I'm not really complaining, but,
Yeah, I know. You will watch Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit
especially
in a marathon.
Lord of the Rings. Yeah, especially Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Game of Thrones. All this being said, I'll probably watch it.
And it's a ways off, because, I mean, we're in, season 7 right now?
Yeah, but we're almost done.
Right. So season 8 won't be until next year, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So 2018, so we won't see these things probably till 2019. But it's just interesting. Not surprising, but interesting. So, like you were saying, all these different plot story ideas they could run with. So it'll be, see where they go with it, But,
yeah.
And also, speaking of things along those lines, I don't know if you've seen Star Wars. There is not... It has not been confirmed, but there's strong rumors that there will be a standalone Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. So you've seen Episode 7 came out, then they had Rogue One.
Yeah.
Episode 8 comes out later this year. Then you're going to have that Han Solo, Lando prequel type early years movie.
Yeah.
Then you have the next major one. So they hadn't announced what was coming after that yet. So the rumor is that it's going to be a standalone Obi-Wan movie that may take place between Episode 3 and 4. Kind of what was Obi-Wan up to after he dropped off Luke and Leia at their respective adopted homes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
There was an interview, Ewan McGregor had once said he would like to do a standalone Obi-Wan movie. So who knows, maybe they'll get him. But I guess there's a lot of rumors because there's directors who have been talked to. There's been actors and things that... It seems like feelers are out for doing an Obi-Wan movie, but there's no official announcement yet. So it would be interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing Ewan McGregor again. He's older in real life. He'd be older in the movies. It would work timing-wise. Bridge that gap between younger and much older Obi-Wan. So I don't know. Is that something you would be interested in seeing, or you don't really?
I mean, I'd watch it. I'm a Star Wars fan, but I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. So, when a movie comes out, I'm like, cool, yeah, let's go see it.
Right.
Other than that, I'm like,
I mean,
cool.
I'm a pretty big Star Wars fan. I used to be bigger. Though when I was younger.
You're a pretty big fan right now.
Before the prequels, I was a much bigger fan.
Yeah. But you've read the books. You've read a lot of the books.
Right, but again, that was all before the prequels. Once the prequels came out, I got out of the books. And now they've said all that stuff is, not in continuity. It's not canon, so it's like you have to read the new books, and I just don't have time for all that. So, but I don't know. A cool Obi-Wan movie. Like I said, I would love to see Ewan McGregor back. I don't know if they'll get him or not, but...
I feel like they're just like they're getting all new actors.
I mean, in a lot of ways they are, but they still. I mean, they bring back Mark Hamill and
yeah,
Hans,
you can't
Harrison
replace
Ford
them.
Like, I know.
Like everybody else, they're like, yeah, we can. Let's get a new actor. Let's get some
they'll just
fresh
do them
talent
CG
in here.
like they did in Rogue One with the old actors who had died. Just make them CG instead of.
They do have the money.
Mm-hmm.
They got the budget.
So another thing I want to talk about was Defenders came out this past week.
Yes.
Have not had the chance to watch it. I have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
I know you said you want to watch some of that Iron Fist before you get into Defenders.
Yeah, so I've watched all the other series
Right.
except for Iron Fist. Where have you left off?
I'm still in the middle of season 2 of Daredevil, so I haven't seen the rest of Daredevil. I haven't seen Luke Cage, and I haven't seen Iron Fist.
So have you been introduced to the Punisher yet in Daredevil?
Yes. So
yeah.
the episode I was on was sort of the Punisher story in the beginning. It was like 3 or 4 episodes. I think 4 episodes maybe.
Yeah.
He had just gotten the Punisher arrested, and he went back to his apartment, and a woman was sitting on his couch, who I know who she is. And then that's where I stopped. And I really want to get back into it. It's one of those shows I watch with the wife, though, and so scheduling, we've got to be... And she's got to be in the mood for it, because they are a little darker, so she's got to,
Yeah.
But...
Gotta want to see violence and gore.
Right.
I always have a hard time remembering that for other people, because I'm always like, violence? Yes! Let's go. Guy's face is being ripped off? All right.
And you mentioned the Punisher. That's what I wanted to talk about. Have you seen the teaser?
No, I actually haven't.
Okay. It's like maybe a minute long. I'm not even sure if it's that long. It's a lot of voiceover showing him, looking brooding, and then like quick flashes of him like with his family before they're killed and stuff like that. Like little flashback flashes here and there.
Yeah.
And then it keeps and in between it keeps showing him with this big hammer like hitting the ground. And at the end, he like walks away, and it zooms out, and he's basically pounding the Punisher symbol into the concrete. So like where it's all broken and spattered, and now it looks like the skull that he wears or whatever.
Yeah.
It didn't really reveal anything. Didn't really even show many like who's playing his family, who the bad guys are.
So
but
what you're saying is it wasn't earth shattering. See what I did there? See what I did there?
And I think they just released it because Defenders came out. They were like, here's a little sneak peek at the next. Because I think Punisher's supposed to be next before we get into like additional seasons of the... Because I think everybody's getting another season.
If they don't, I'd be really...
I'm pretty sure because I think Luke Cage is. I think Jessica Jones is. I think there's a 3rd season of Daredevil. And they even said Iron Fist is getting a 2nd season, even though it wasn't super popular. But
yeah. Well, I think what... and please, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Netflix has a standard, like, 2 seasons for everyone.
It seems like it.
And then, if it's not making money, which they're... I don't understand how they decide which shows to be canceled and which shows not to be canceled. Yeah, and then they won't renew it for a 3rd season.
I wonder if it's by how they review from critics, how many, because I'm sure they can track how many views they get.
Yeah.
And then maybe even user ratings, how well they review with users, like on the Netflix review kind of thing. So, which now it's just a thumbs up or thumbs down. So, it used to be a star rating. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through all the shows, but I've liked them a lot, and they keep making them. So
you haven't watched Jessica Jones, right?
No, I have.
You have? Okay.
I really like that one.
Luke Cage?
No, I haven't gotten there yet.
Haven't gotten to Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. I'm sure they have some other Marvel characters that they want to release on Netflix.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I thought Ghost Rider would have been a good fit, but he's over on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now, so that probably won't happen. Blade. I don't remember those old Wesley Snipes movies and stuff. That would be kind of cool to have Blade pop up on there or something. So those sort of darker, grittier heroes or whatever. So,
almost anti-heroes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
a little more vigilante than you don't think of Captain America as a vigilante or Iron Man right there. They're superheroes.
Yeah.
These guys are,
These guys are like, I guess I'm a hero.
Pretty much. Beating up drug dealers and whatnot.
Yeah.
And from what I read, the deal, because Disney and Netflix deal is going to expire in 2019. I guess that deal is separate from this deal. So the specific deal to make these superhero shows is not going to be affected by Disney making their own digital streaming service. So that should be good.
I'm a little worried about that.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried about that.
I know. It was nice right now to be able to get Disney movies, especially the cartoons that I'm not necessarily going to go see in the theater, but get them on Netflix where I can just chill and watch them and stuff. So,
well, that too, but in the overall scheme of things, like, Disney's a very big player. And they definitely have the content to create their own streaming system. But, like, who else is going to leave the nicely packaged Netflix platform that...
Right.
A lot of people have already subscribed to. And then, so are we going to have like an a la carte thing? Will cable really be dead? Because if it is an a la carte thing of like where, okay, I need the Disney streaming service, I need the Netflix, I've got Hulu, I need just to throw another channel out there for whatever reason, like Spike, like, like whatever it might be, how expensive is that going to get?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in a lot, Netflix produces its own original content now. But in a lot of ways, Netflix is almost like a third-party go-between of give us your movies and shows, and then we pass it on to the customer. It's like Disney's cutting out the middleman and being like, well, we'll just do it ourselves. So, how many other companies are going to start doing that? That reduces Netflix's value, but then as a consumer, I'm like, well, I got to subscribe to this. And
yeah.
It builds up.
Because, the movie companies could do that, too.
Right.
Like, Paramount could have its own streaming system. Like, and who's to say they won't?
Right.
In a couple of years' time, after, if Disney becomes successful, which they will.
Right. And Disney definitely has probably the biggest stable because they have ABC programming, so they got the TV stuff. They've got Disney cartoons and all that. They have the Marvel movies. They have the Star Wars properties and stuff. So they have a large...
They've got ESPN.
Right, even ESPN. They can start streaming sports and stuff. So
yeah.
It's
scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary.
Right. Because then you got somebody like Universal. They've got their movies, but they also own NBC. So you've got TV there. So yeah, other companies could easily... I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Like, no, I'm going to make the money all for myself.
Right. And I guess Disney does have another advantage, too, because they can show old stuff. They have a huge old stable of movies and cartoons and things. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
All right. So, I was going to talk about this week. We're not doing a standalone what you've been watching, what you've been playing. We don't really have enough to talk about. It's been a slow week. And we're missing two of our players anyways. So, but a certain somebody saw a couple movies that she wanted to talk about.
Who?
And that I want to hear about. So, tell us what you've seen, Dove.
So
what you've been watching.
Was that me? Were you
that
me?
might have been you. My poor impression of you.
It was good.
Okay.
It was good. You just need an afro. Or I need a beard. I don't know. One
both.
of the two.
We'll just do both.
Yeah, we'll do both. Hybrid. I was at the movies pretty much all night yesterday. I went to see The Dark Tower. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Have you read the book?
I have not.
Okay. I have not either, so.
There is room for a sequel. There's definitely room. Will there be a sequel? I don't know, because the theater was kind of empty.
Did it come out this week? Or
I think it came out a couple weeks ago. But still...
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for two actors of that caliber, for the production value, like, it should have...
And it's Idris Elba
Matthew
Matthew McConaughey. Okay.
Yeah. I like the story. I definitely want to go read the book now. But they didn't delve... Because I was talking to somebody that had actually read the book, and she was like, was it really good? I was like, well, but they didn't really delve into... why the Dark Tower is and really what it's about and how all of these worlds connect. They just kind of briefly glossed over it. And we're like, well, Idris Elba's fighting the Man in Black, which is Matthew McConaughey, and then there's a kid involved, and you're like, what? You can follow it, but like what the Dark Tower is, I have a vague idea from the movie. I don't have I want a better understanding.
Okay.
And, like, he's a gunslinger. Idris Elba is a gunslinger. apparently that's a long line of gunslingers, and yeah, but like I know nothing about it other than he is important. He's the last of his kind, and he kind of lost his way, but now with the kid, he's back. It was enjoyable. I definitely think if you like sci-fi, if you're watching us, you probably do. Go see it, and then maybe we'll get a sequel. Maybe not, or at least go check out the book. Yesterday, I also saw Atomic Blonde.
Okay.
Loved. So good.
Yeah.
So good. Charlize is like... I'm gonna curse. Okay. I'm gonna curse. Kicking ass from the beginning of the film to the end. Like, literally 5 minutes into the film, it's like, all right, here we go. She, like, figuratively, like, rolls up her sleeves and is like, let's get to business. The story was really good. Plot twist, really stylized. Film visually was beautiful. I liked really some of the transitions that they did. It was really, really cool. And then there were like a couple twists where I was like, what? Because normally I can see those twists, like, especially with spy movies, you're just like, oh, okay, this person is the double agent, and this person is the good guy, and this one is just not that good at all, you know? But, yeah, go see Atomic Blonde. It's good. Okay. I'm not even going to I'm sure critics and other people are like, yeah, for a female spy? Like, not even a female spy. Like, just a spy. Like, it's so good. I think even at some point you forget that it's a female doing all of these things. Because they don't really harp on that. Like, she's very womanly, and she does use some of her female charms, but it's not like, oh, a woman is doing this. It's like, ooh, right. There's a highly trained killer here to extract information, and I mean, the movie's set in '89, so and to break up the Cold War. Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. I thought it was set in modern times or whatever, current times. Yeah, I can see how, and I guess I thought that too. Off the get-go, but yeah, set in 1989. Okay. And all the music is from the 80s, which is great. Nice. Yeah, a lot of new wave. Okay, cool. Oh, man. And it's not just the pop hits, which is, I mean, as a music fan, that was fun for me, and I was like, okay. Jamming out in the theater? A little bit, and I saw it at Embassy. I guess is that a Santikos? Yes. Think so? Yes, I think so. Anyway, the biggest point about that is that they had the reclining chairs, which I had never been to a movie theater with reclining chairs. I was like, what have I been missing? This is Embassy great. A Regal? I don't remember. Okay. It's Regal or Santikos. I'm sure I've offended one of the companies. But in San Antonio, we only have Santikos or Regal. There's like no AMC anymore. So yeah. Smaller theater, which I like a lot. I think there are only maybe 20 seats. Oh wow, it's really small. Yeah, it was definitely a small theater. It was really good. So the movie going experience was great, and then the movie was fantastic. Cool. Yeah, I'll add it to my list. Yeah, a bunch of things to watch. I know you weren't a fan of the ending, so would you put this above Baby Driver? Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah? Okay. Because the ending in Atomic Blonde was good. I did not expect it. Okay. Did not see it coming. Cool. Yeah, and then the movie ended and I was like, what? like what? And then I had all this adrenaline from seeing all of the fights. And I was like, there was one thing I was talking about earlier with some other people. Like their actual fight sequences of, people get tired when you're actively trying to kill someone. And someone's actively trying to kill you, you get physically exhausted. I wouldn't know because I don't want to be in a fight, but I'm just assuming. And it was great to see that like they were fighting, and then there's one point where they're just like both kind of like stumbling and trying to get back up to like go again, and you can just see it, and they're just like, "You want? Okay, all right." Right. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That's the trailers made it look good, so I need to. Some point, and I'm probably gonna have to rent it, but I would say it's it's not one of those movies you have to see in the theater,
Okay.
but it's great to have it on that size screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then definitely audio-wise, but you have surround sound and
Right.
your...
Crank it up a little bit when I watch it.
Crank it up.
Okay.
Yeah. Turn
Cool.
off the lights. Get the home theater experience.
I will. Always. All right, so that brings us to the last segment of the podcast.
Oh, wait. Have you been watching anything?
Oh, no, not really. That's why we're not doing a standalone episode, because there's nothing interesting to talk about.
Okay.
No. The last segment of the podcast, for anybody who's been watching, me and Alina have done this a couple times now. Whenever there's a two-player podcast, we have a new segment called 1v1 at the end. And it's basically an opportunity, and it sounds a lot more, it's actually very nice. It's not aggressive at all. It's an opportunity for the viewers and for us to get to know each other better. It's where I ask you a couple of questions. Now, these questions are about gaming-related habits and opinions and things like that. Obviously,
Okay.
you are a resident non-gamer.
Right.
But the first couple of questions I talked about with Alina, we both said, we think you can answer these.
Okay.
So the first question involves any kind of video game that allows you to design your own character.
Okay.
Choose the race, whether it's different races of humans or like an elf or an orc or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can adjust their weight, their facial features, all of that. If you sat down to play a game,
Yes.
and it allowed you to choose your character, to design your character, would you make something just totally crazy and ridiculous? Would you make it so that it fit the world? So if it was a fantasy game, you'd be very, Game of Thrones looking, or a space game, something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or would you do your best to make the character look like yourself, but in that world, still sort of medieval fantasy or whatever?
So, super hot female, always.
Yeah.
Which would be me.
So like yourself, okay, got it.
I have a tendency to go, like, very plain.
Really?
Honestly, yeah. When I do have to create, like, avatars or something for whatever. Even my Bitmoji. It's very, like, have you seen my Bitmoji?
I don't think so.
I'll show you my Bitmoji. Like, it's me. Like, there's no... I can't really think of... Oh, no, I don't want to open that. Close.
So, like, if the game was letting you make a character and you kind of make a design yourself, would you add, though, like, some battle scars or, give yourself, some cool armor or anything? Or would it just be Dallas hanging out?
It'd probably just be me hanging out. It'd probably be me in space. Like...
Hey, everybody.
Hey! With some, like, graphic tee on. Like, where's your... You need, like, a suit for outer space, right? So that way you don't... Like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I think I would hope that I would go... I probably would make it of that world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. It's basically you.
It's basically
Yeah.
me. The shirt says, I can't even. That's my Bitmoji shirt says, I can't even. But yeah, so I'd probably be very, very plain. Because my thing is, because you've already stated that you can go crazy on those. Like, you spent
Oh, the amount of time I put on
hours,
there?
yeah, creating one character,
Yeah.
which for me, I'd just be like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, I don't. I hate shopping anyway, and that would remind me of shopping
Right.
and being like, oh,
Well, and I think that's what my
create this
problem is.
human.
I take it too seriously, and it's
Yeah.
like when you go shopping, oh, should I get this or this? And you kind of deal with that. Same thing. It's like, I'm going to be playing this character for who knows how many hours. Do I need to do this or that or whatever? And then I wind up spending way too much time on it.
Do you also have that feeling of like, oh, my friends are going to see this?
Not as much. It's really just a personal thing. It's a real problem I have. If it's an online character, sometimes actually I have an easier time if it's online, because then I go for something a little crazier and a little flashier. Some people will be like, oh, look at that ridiculous character. But if it's like, an RPG and I'm playing as this character, yeah, I take it way too seriously. So,
Yeah. I mean, I probably have some cool armor or something, but I would have to have an afro.
mm-hmm.
I have an afro on almost everything I do. Like, on almost everything I create. I think I created an M&M one time. You could go online and create your... Had an afro. So, like, it just... Yeah, so, like, afro and sunglasses would have to be a part of my avatar.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so there's a follow-up question to that, but we won't do it today. We'll save it for next time because I think it'll be a quicker one. But
what's the question? I'm intrigued now.
Okay, well, all right. Let's just, like I said, it will be a quicker one, so we can throw this in here. So the other thing is, these games usually, especially if you have character customization, allow you to name your character. Mm-hmm. So the question is, would you name your character again to fit the world? So if it was like a fantasy, you'd come up with something elaborate, or space, you'd sound like an alien, whatever. Would you come up with something crazy like call your character like Assface? So then when you walk around the game, they're like, "How you doing, Assface?" And it just pops up. That was an old thing in a lot of old games.
Yeah.
Or would you just use your name? Because I mean, let's face it, Dallas is already a pretty good built-in video game name.
Yeah.
And it works for both male and female characters, I feel like. So.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Fun fact, I only meet males named Dallas. Only meet males. Anyway. I know the other females exist.
Mm-hmm.
They exist online. I just haven't met one. You know what? I guess here's the thing. Here's what we're going to do. Because I'm having a hard time answering these questions. So, whatever game, I don't care what game it is, we'll sit and create a character. Or I'll create the character. Mm-hmm. You just be like, Dallas, this is the game. This is the storyline. Go. You obviously need X amount of equipment to survive in this world. Which I'd be like, what? I have a knife and a flint. Like, I don't understand. And a cup of water.
I'm good.
I'm good. That's all you need, right? And then I'll be better able to answer these questions.
Okay.
Because name-wise, I don't come up with great names. Like, for instance, I'm a DJ as well. You want to know my DJ name? It's Dallas.
That's what I'm saying. Dallas is like a built-in great name for...
Yeah, but I don't like it for those things. Like, I mean, I have a couple nicknames with friends and stuff, but almost everybody always calls me Dallas. The only people who call me something different, and it's a slight variation on Dallas. Like, my 2 family members, really, and then 1 friend. So that's 3 people in the entire world who call me something other than Dallas. And I want a nickname. I want one so bad.
I'll think of one. Well, you can just have everybody call you Player 4, right?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Hey, what's up? I'm Resident Non-Gamer. That's too long.
Non-gamer. Yeah, that one's too long.
But cool. The RNG, which also stands for Random Number Generator, but
Yeah, but the real fans will know.
Resident Non-Gamer.
Resident Non-Gamer.
All right, cool. So I think that kind of wraps it up then.
Okay.
Like I said, tune in next week. We'll definitely have all the Gamescom coverage. Hopefully there'll be cooler announcements than what Microsoft had for us today. Otherwise, leave us comments. Let us know if there's anything you want us to talk about. Like, subscribe, all the good YouTube usual stuff. Otherwise, we'll just see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.